Hello and welcome. This is Nick Marine presenting Let's Learn Japanese, a course series for the self-study Japanese from basics and beginnings up to intermediate and hopefully advanced. Alright, so today it's going to be a book review of that particular book up there. It's called はじめまして日本語能力試験 Tango N5 2000 Essential Vocabulary for the JLPT N3. Alright, or what I like to probably going to call from here on out is the JLPT Tango N3. So that's been the terminology I've been using for that book. There's nothing official about that particular thing. So if you see JLPT Tango N3, it is referring to this book, but the actual title is, above 2000 Essential Vocabulary for the JLPT N3, or the Japanese one as well. Alright, so this is a book series. I did kind of do a book review of, but it was kind of like a beginning book review of the N5, N4 book, so I just wanted to include, so let's just quick refresher. So it's a 5-book series, starts with the N5, it says about 1,000 words, but about 1,200 entries in here. N4, there's about 1,500 words and about 900 or so sentences, example sentences. And of course this is the book we're going to be reviewing, so there's again 2,000 words, actually a little bit over 2,000 words, and roughly, I think about 1,400 or so example sentences. Then of course the book I'll be going to in a month or so is the N2 book, so again 2,500 words and I think about 1,800 or so sentences. Could be wrong. And then how many are in here? See how many final sentence count. I was so off. Saying that's 1,800. Should I have that prepared? Oh, it says it's 1,600. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so 1,400, 1,600, 1,800 for the example sentences. Yeah, so for the N1, which I may or may not get to, it's, again, 3,000 words and 1,800 or so example sentences. Or so. Just because the way the books are designed, you don't get nice round numbers when it comes to that, and also how they give example sentences. Sometimes they'll give an example sentence, and I'll get this when I get into the review mainly, but again they'll give sometimes like 2 example sentences for a word, or an example sentence that shows different meanings of a word. So the same word could have multiple meanings, and it does expand on that. Alright, so let me just go over real quick. Let me go on the actual physical books. Let me just go big screen. Alright, so here's the big screen, and here's the actual book. Again, you can kind of tell by the width, kind of get these book series naturally gets a little thicker as time goes on, so again it goes away from the N5 all the way to the N1. You can kind of tell that's the thinnest book, and that's when stuff starts getting serious when it comes to it. And again, it's mainly the thickness is just based on the sentence count, not the word count. So because those have from 1,400 to 1,800, that's kind of why they have roughly the same thickness or whatnot, even though the difficulty is higher. The book itself, if you buy it, it roughly shows up on the 1,400 yen, $14. It's probably going to be a lot more than that if you're not living in Japan, having it shipped to somewhere else, unless you buy it on Kindle. Somehow there are some guides online to show how to purchase this particular book as a Kindle version, the electronic version of it. If you get the physical book, it comes with this little red sheet. I'll get into that real quick. But let's just say you get it, and hopefully by the time you get to this point, you're already familiar with the series and you've appreciated it. But when you get to this book, you notice things go a little bit differently in that it's not using keigo, it's not using polite speech in all the example sentences. So it gets rid of the tabemasu, arukimasu, des, and whatnot, and instead it goes to colloquial or just normal speech. Alright, with that, I think from the people who've actually gone from the N5, N4 to N3, and there's a few people that have done that, and they all have said that it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like a different experience because it feels like more realistic or whatnot when they get to that. So they actually appreciate the jump, even though it's much more difficult material. They appreciate it because of the way it's packaged. So again, the example sentences will be better. If you look into that, everything else though, the layout's about the same as the N4. You kind of know it's split up into 12 sections. Each section is, split up into 12 chapters. Each chapter is a particular theme. In fact, the themes are, and unfortunately I can't show you. Well, I guess I could. I can show you here. So here's the chapter layout. So you might go to relationships between people, then chapter 2 is daily life, and there's another version of daily life for chapter 3, talking about the town, studying, work. It goes into sickness, news, health, nature and whatnot. So those are each of the chapters, and each chapter is split up into 5 sections. So you can go in the town could go like the town's appearance, walking around town, the trains, or getting around town, getting around on buses, driving. Talk about work, be getting a job, working at a company, the relationships in a company, the types of jobs you do using a computer. You go into reading the news, you go about the media incidents, warnings, troubles, information. So it's pretty good. And so that's essentially, it's like 60 different sections, and each section's roughly 20 to 30 words. So total comes out to about 2,000 words. That's not exactly from just a section. In fact, if it just went with the sections, the words would be less. But at the end of a few of the sections, not all of them, but I'm sorry, at the end of a few of the chapters, same as in the N4, is I usually call them the pink sheets. So it's right here, and in those are essentially, it's kind of hard to explain this. These are just essentially a group of words following an idea. So in this case, this is like techie. So here's some words that use techie means like something, or then sai means the most of something, and or you have te, like the least of something, or ka means isation, koreika, the aging of the population, shoshika, the declining birth rate saidai, the biggest, saita, the most. What's another example here? There's a couple areas in the early beginning. It's like dealt with conjunctions, connecting, how to connect words or whatnot. So it's pretty good. So I would say it's, as a purchase for $14, it's worthwhile. If you got the little red sheet here, you can actually, like I explained to them before, you can actually add it over the page, and what it'll do is it'll blank out the vocabulary word in Japanese vocabulary word. You can read the English vocabulary word, and also in the example sentence, it blanks out where the word is used in the sentence. So essentially, what's a good way of doing it? It's translation, that you're going from English to Japanese. If you look at, you're saying the English word, and then, okay, what's the Japanese word for it? Or it's closed deletion, that here's a sentence key, fill in the blank there. And same as at the N4, with certain words, you get additional words. So it could be, hey, here's a similar word to that. So if you get like on Tua, then it's like Higairi Tua, which is a one-day tour, or Onsen Tua, which is a tour of the hot springs tour. That's additional, and it could be also the same. Like this word has the exact same meaning as the main vocabulary word. And I'll say main vocabulary word in that main vocabulary word has an example sentence. The additional vocabulary words do not have any example sentences. That could be a strength or a weakness, depending on how you look at it. I consider it's okay. You should have, at this level, you shouldn't have a problem being able to learn a word without the example sentence, even though it's more fun with an example sentence. Yeah, so it's going to be either an additional word as in similar meaning, an additional word as same meaning, or additional word in the opposite meaning. And we'll leave it at that. All right, so that's pretty much it. And then at the end, there's an index, to show all 2,000, help you find all 2,000 words. All right, so that's the physical book. With the book, there's also the support site. So the first support site you go to, this is the ask-books.com. And this is where you can go and buy the book physically. I think it links you to a third-party seller, not or let's see, Kindle Hunts. Yeah, so you can buy the Kindle version. Looks like there's audio downloads. Oh, well, look at that. So it looks like it's a direct link to the audio. Now I haven't looked at this here, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same as this right here. If you go to ask-support.com, this will be a link to the. Click on PC, I'll give you go to that book, you actually download all the audio files for the book. And also there's a pretty good support site in that you can go here and take on the PDF version of a mock test. So each chapter has a mock test. Usually goes with the first part's testing grammar, second part's testing vocabulary knowledge, third part is testing knowledge of the vocabulary. Well, I guess it's still vocabulary knowledge. So the second two parts of the test is, so it's like grammar, then vocabulary for the most part. And let's touch on the audio, because Yeah, this is the first time. Maybe they had just added this. Let's see. Yeah, so there's the online mock test. So there's a support. There's ask.PMG. Okay, yeah, so this is linked straight to the support website and then the mock test. All right, cool. So yeah, if you go to this main site, you get everything you need there. And also everything you can see there is available on the actual support website. So there you go. It's not too bad. All right, now the cool thing about the book, as I mentioned before, is that because this book comes with audio, that makes this book a very good vocabulary book. There's plenty of vocabulary books in Japanese. You know, you can even create your own. I've done it myself. There's nothing magical about that. What makes this cool, besides the fact that they've got it separated by chapters of themes and by section, and that chapter is subdivided into sections of themes, the benefit of the book, like before, is that it's progressive. If you go through the sentences, you can see that that sentence is not going to show you anything that is isn't going to be introduced in that section or has already been introduced in previous sections, chapters. So it's progressive. The sentences are really good on that. So what has happened, and I think I can show it here, is that people have just studied these books. Like someone, for example, the person who first introduced this to Matt versus Japan, and I talked to as well, is that he had just studied the N5 and N4 book. And then from that, he took the JLPT N4 test and aced it. As in, he had no problem taking it. He didn't have an N. He got back. He got passing results with no issues. It wasn't barely passing. He just passed it. So a mastery of the N4 material. So that's good. Now, I don't know if that's the case with N3. However, personally, what I personally did is I had taken the JCAT back in May of last year, scored about a 176, which wasn't, it sucks, yes. Puts you like mid N3 level. So definitely had mastery of N4 material by the time, you know, was in mid. And then I took it in December of just the last year, so about two months ago, I retook it, and so my score jumped 32 points. And the main difference between May and now was that besides doing like four episodes of Terrace House, my new study was this book, and I got through 3/4 of the book. The other thing I did, you know, as full disclosure, was thanks to this book also, is I started doing reading every day. So I was actually reading for at least an hour or two Japanese audio. And I did that for about 3 months worth of time. So that also helped as well. But again, this particular test was, you know, I scored much better on this test than before. And I think the main result was because, again, I was going through this particular book, and yeah, I was using it in the Anki format. I wasn't just using the book by itself. So I did. But I'll be getting into that later. So I do think, though, this will, at least up to the N3 level, it could do it at the N2, I don't know. I'll be going to that later, we'll find out. But it does have an impact, and it will help improve. It will help improve your ability in Japanese. Yeah, so it is capable of doing that. All right, so let's see. So I talked about the actual book, I talked about the supports. Now, the biggest thing about the support was the audio. And the audio by itself could or could not, may or may not be useful. If you get it, you'll see it's a big file. It's a big file, like almost a gig, if not 2 gigs worth of data. And the reason is because they kind of give you the same audio multiple times. In fact, let's see if I can show you real quick. All right, so I'm not going to show you all the audio. Yeah, maybe I can. Let's go here. Alright, so here's the JLPT Tango. So these are all the audio files for JLPT Tango N3. This is the second print edition, so you want to get that, not the first print, but the second print. And what you're going to get is like what I call sections. So that just means that you get the entire section of audio, which is just what it'll be is the audio of the vocabulary word, then the example sentence. And it'll do that for the entire section, about 25 words. So it's about a 2-minute. Each section is about 2 minutes worth of audio. And then this is a section with the pause. It just means instead of a 1 or 2 second pause, it's a 2 to 4 second pause. And then by word and words with pauses, that just means it's instead of being by section, it's by major word entries. So if you go to like 497, you would hear like Nyugakshiki, and then Nyugakshiki no koro sakura ga saku. So you'll hear that. Cool. By itself, again, I don't think it's that useful. But once you merge it with OnKey, God, things change. So let's go and show what OnKey does. So again, this is kind of a weird review, but it's going to show you something. So let's step back a bit and let me explain some things. All right, so here's my Patreon. I call it Let's Learn Japanese. It used to be called Suggest Guide for Japanese Literacy. Changed it to something that sounds a little bit better. All right, and on there I kind of revamped what I call the path, which is, hey, what should you do to get better in Japanese? And again, this is advice coming from a guy who's not good in Japanese. I get that. But work with me here. So pretty much the path milestone is going to go beginner, basic, to intermediate, lower, intermediate, upper, advanced, lower, advanced, upper, and you can go beyond that. Again, it's Japanese. Each milestone is roughly about learn kanji, about 500 or so kanji, learn a couple thousand vocabulary words, 500 more kanji, 500 more vocabulary words. So it's kind of split up like that. So it's pretty structured. It's nothing complicated. So like if you're at the beginning, the first thing you learn is hiragana, katakana. That should be obvious. Learn the 500 most common vocabulary word. I'm sorry, 500 most common kanji, which would be here. So I call that optimized part 1. You can do anything. It's not limited to that. There are different ways to do it. In fact, I can give you a frequency list of kanji and say, hey, let's sort this by either KKLC, which is Kodansha's kanji learning course, or RTK, remembering the kanji. And all you do is skip kanji that aren't in the list. So you're going through this book, just skipping kanji that aren't in the list. That's it. So that's beginner level, and then basic just means, hey, while you're out there, and what I would recommend is, if you're doing the kanji part, just read over Take Him, read over some type of really basic grammar material to kind of get you up to that point. And then this right here is like I just say, go back to back. So do the N5, the N4. That's it. And then there's this or here, so ignore that part. And I think by that point you're pretty good. Again, people have, like I've seen 2 or 3 cases, personal cases, where all they did is just study this material and they aced the N4 level stuff. So I think it'd be good to go. Now, we don't have enough examples of N3 yet. I mean, there's my case. I'm sure there'll be others as time goes on. So we'll see. I get the feeling I get the feeling a lot of people are going to be doing fine. The weak point is going to be anything dealing with grammar, because you're not being taught grammar directly with this book. You're kind of doing it through exposure, because of the progressive way where they're doing the M1. Not only is it that they introduce a word, they'll also introduce a grammatical term sometimes, and then you'll start seeing that grammatical term used throughout the book series, and you understand the grammatical impact of that by looking at the translation, the English translation of the sentence. So that's how it kind of teaches you grammar, through examples. But there are ways to, you can mitigate that with, there is a pretty good book series called Shinkansen Master in 4 grammar, in 3 grammar, in 2 grammar. So I'm going to be using that as well, but that's outside the scope of this particular book review. But anyway, by the time you got beginner, then basic, and after that I recommend learning another 5. So by the time you get to this book, you should have 2,000 to 2,500 vocabulary words under your belt already. And you should have basic level grammar under your belt, N5, N4 level grammar under your belt. And you should have about 1,100 kanji. At minimum you should have I would think 600 kanji. But I've been recommending like 1,000 to 1,100 or so kanji. And that just means that's not kanji as in the vocabulary words that use it, the pronunciation of these kanji. It just means that if you saw this kanji, you kind of know what it means. You recognize it on sight. That's all. And the reason with that benefit is that it makes it easier to learn vocabulary words that use those kanji. That's the only reason. There's nothing magical going on here. All right, so by the time you get through here, and again, I started back in September. I think I could show you. So let's find out. If you want to go this book, you say, hey, I want this book, and I want to use it with Anki. Here's the benefit. As long as you show to me you bought the book, I'm going to give you the links to the OnKey Deck. All right. So you don't have to join, like I said, you don't have to join the Patreon to get access to the Anki Decks. All you have to do is buy the books. And the links to the books are directly to the website publisher. I'm not getting any money from the books. I don't really care about that. I just think these are really good resources, and people can probably learn Japanese in a much more efficient manner utilizing these resources. That's all. And let me make sure I've got them. Probably gonna, yeah, should be all right. Yeah, so if you join the Let's Learn Japanese, if you see the link, sorry, the shaking of the camera. If you join the you don't need to join the Patreon, sorry. So all you got to do is click on the links to the Discord. You'll come to the Discord. Message me. You're able to see this channel without being a member of the Patreon, so you're able to go here, message me, say, hey, here's my proof of ownership. Here's a picture of the book. And here's a picture of like a sheet of paper with your username on it, so it shows that, okay, it's most likely your book. Or show me a screenshot of your purchase confirmation. Whatever. Just modest proof that you own the book. And I'm just going to give you the links to that particular book of the OnKey Decks that I've made. Alright, now here's the OnKey Decks. Okay. Overall, I just call it JLP Tango, and I've got it separated into sections, so N5, N4, N3. If you look at the N5, each deck is about 500 words with the example sentences. You know, not every word has an example sentence. All right, so 2 parts to N5, and N4, because there's 1,500 words, there's 3 parts, and then N3 is 4 parts, 500 words each, so 2,000 vocabulary words. Nothing complicated here. And the way in fact, let me just show you what a review looks like. Alright, so like nibui. So in fact, am I even going to be able to hear this? Yeah, okay. So, chichi wa nibui kara hakkiri iwanai to wakaranai. So yeah, my father's so dense or stupid, well, stupid, so dense, if you don't say it clearly to him, he just won't understand. Alright, and then, oh, shit. Jesus Christ. I'm an idiot.
鈍い。父は鈍いからはっきり言わないとわからない。
Let me go back. Thank you, Navy Dave, for telling me I forgot to actually show the screen. Okay, this is a heck of a book review. Okay, just a reminder, this was the main website. ask-books.com. The link's in the description below. This is the name of the support website, ask.support.com. Links are in the description below. This is a link to the Patreon, which I was describing about the path. Link in the description below. And again, you don't have to join the Patreon in order to get access to the OnKey Decks. Just make sure you purchase the books. Just give myself, or there's also some other Discords where you can give proof of purchase. They'll give you links to the OnKey Decks. There's nothing magical here. And then right here was the JCAT results I was talking about, where, again, I scored a 208. That's not a great score. That's his, like, beginning levels of N2, like really, really, like, basic level. But it does show, like, okay, I'm beyond the N3 level. All right, so with that out of the way, here's the OnKey Deck, and I apologize I didn't show it to you. So again, here was the 3 decks, or the 3 main decks. But each deck, so there's the N5, there are 2 OnKey Decks for the N5. There was 3 OnKey Decks for the N4. And then 4 OnKey Decks for the N3. And when we get to the N2, there's going to be 5 OnKey Decks. And each deck's about 500 in size. The reason why I broke it up in that parts, for a couple reasons. One is I feel like you need near-term milestones. And 500 words is a pretty good milestone. Like kind of like 500 kanji, 500 words. You know, and then give you a time to reassess, like, hey, you want to change in how you're doing or whatnot. You've got a good milestone to reach, and it looks good if you ever go into the statistics page and you can kind of tell, like, hey, how far. You know, you get to a screen like this, and all of a sudden, this part that says unseen, this gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and whatnot. So let me just show you the deck here. All right, so you go here. The way I've got the deck set up, the way I recommend it, you know, if you go to options, I create an option group, JLPT Tango, and I set the steps in minutes. Like, so I'll see the first time I see a card, then I'll see it in 10 minutes, then in 720 minutes. That means the next day. Anytime past 12 hours, and then after this was anytime past 3 days. That's the way I've got it set up, and I graduated at 7 days. For reviews, again, I set new cards. I set max new cards to 9,999. I don't care about. I don't like my number of reviews or my number of new cards limited by Anki. I determine that personally. I don't. And then order, just show new cards in order added. Also, what I recommend real quick, go to Tools, go to Preferences, and go down here, Show New Cards after Reviews. Review first, learn new cards second. That's the best way of doing it. Everything else is kind of up to you. Okay. Now here's the options. So reviews similar to this. You can set a little higher. It's up to you. Interval modifier. I keep it just at the generic, and then I'll bury related cards reviews into the next day. You don't have to. I just choose to. Lapses, again, I don't. You could set it to where it suspends lapse cards. I don't. I just say tag it. That just means if you're missing cards a lot. All right. So those are, if you want to change your Anki the way I'm doing it, that's kind of how you can do it. All right. Let's just go a quick study now. So there are two types of cards. There is a text-based card, reading comprehension, and a listening comprehension. This is a reading comprehension because you're reading it. And the way I look at it is like, do I know how to pronounce this word? Nibui. Do I know what it means? Kind of dense or not smart. Now, this could also be not sharp. It depends. Now, because of this, it's applying to one's mental ability, not the sharpness of an object, sharpness of one's mental thinking. So, chichi wa nibui kara hakkiri iwanai to wakaranai. Now, what I also put on myself is I say, hey, do I know what this sentence is saying? Not only do I know how to say it, do I know what it's saying. That's my prerequisite of passing a card, this particular card.
鈍い。父は鈍いからはっきり言わないとわからない。
And down here, I don't have to memorize this. It's just there if I feel like, oh, I need to get more clarification. This was all the information when I first added the card. So this was the Japanese definition, nibui, and that's weird. Usually I add the English definition to that, but I guess it's not there. Yeah. And let's see. Anyway, let's keep going. Chakuten, so it's a weak point. Kono jiken de wareware no chakuten ga. Oh, don't worry about the sentences. By the way, I'm sorry. This is not a sentence in the book. Right here. If it has like dash 005, 006, that means it's an additional sentence. What that means, what I did personally, is that I went and added an example sentence to this so I can see it. All the additional vocabulary words, the words that don't have example sentences, those are all text-based. You're not going to hear you don't get audio. All right.
弱点
Jakten. And that's really all I care about. And you notice you're not hearing audio for the sentence. So I'm just doing that to get clarification as to what this, this is a weak point. Jakten.
絵を描ける。
絵を描ける。
玄関にきれいな絵を描けました。
Yeah, so I kind of messed that up when I first heard it. This is actually an older card. I just did a brain fart so I'd missed it recently. So this is an audio card. So you notice this is okay, do I hear a word? In this case, e o kakeru. And the way I personally study this is I hear the word, e o kakeru. Now visualize what it is in kanji. So that's Spider-Man and meeting. So that's picture. And o kakeru. Now kakeru is not in kanji, but you do know that his finger, vine, and Harry Potter. So I do know that means to hoist or hang up something. So in this case, the picture is. Let me hear that again real quick.
絵を描ける。
玄関にきれいな絵を描けました。
Yeah, so in the genkan, so at the front door, there's a very beautiful picture is hanging. A beautiful picture is hanging. Something like that. So the idea was here, though, I don't care. The sentence is not there for me to understand or comprehend. The sentence is there to bring context to the vocabulary word. So in audio cards, I could, if I wanted to, say, hey, I'll miss a card if I don't know what the sentence is saying. But instead, I decided the sentence is just there to make sure I comprehend the audio. Because sometimes if you just hear the word of the vocabulary word itself, you already know with Japanese, there could be many different words with that same pronunciation.
絵を描ける。
Yeah, so there it is.
玄関にきれいな絵を描けました。
And that's pretty much it. So you kind of, now this is
紳士服。
shinshifuku.
最近はおしゃれな紳士服が増えた。
So this is men's clothing. So this is shin as in kami, as in gods. Shi, samurai, or, samurai. Warrior. And then fuku is clothing. So this is men's clothing. Shinshifuku.
紳士服。
最近はおしゃれな紳士服が増えた。
All right. So now you're seeing how OnKey Deck is working in that you're just seeing the review. You're not seeing me actually learn the card because I kind of do something a little bit differently. But you can kind of see. So you got a text-based card. You got an audio-based card. So you got a card that says, hey, do you know how to read this word when you see it in a book? And you have another card that says, hey, do you know this word when you hear it in a TV show? So that's the benefit of these two types of cards. Now, personally, for me, listening was the weaker point. So I put audio cards as first, and I mainly add a card based on if I don't understand what it is in audio. Reading is a stronger point for me. If I see the word, I most likely will know how to pronounce it just because of my knowledge of other words, and I know what it means because of my knowledge of kanji. That's me, personally. You could be someone different, in which case the text-based cards are much more important to you. I think, hey, use them both. So when you learn an audio card, if you hear the audio card and, you know, to me it's like, okay, hear the word, do I know what it means, and can I write it down in Japanese? Like here, I was actually writing out, I can visualize the kanji in my head. So I know how to write out the kanjis because I can visualize them. You don't have to do that. That's a requirement I've made it more difficult for myself. It's just perfectly fine. Hey, if you hear a word and you know what it means. That's it. You don't need to know how to read Japanese to be able to understand and speak Japanese. It just makes stuff easier. And plus the reading part's going to be on another card anyway. So you can just do it that way. You don't have to make the ability to write kanji from memory or the ability to spell words correctly the thing that limits your speed of going through this material. It could be an option. And all this other material is not stuff I'm trying to memorize. It's there. Like I try to add, like personally I try to add the Japanese definition on this shinshi, seijin dansei no. So this is like a term for an adult. For a gentleman. And fuku just added, so that means clothing. So a gentleman's clothing. And I added the English definition as well. Well, not in this case, but it's kind of weird. Okay, I didn't add the English definition. And also added, in this particular case, I just added this wasn't, that was, by the way, it wasn't gods. I was thinking, the wrong thing. This is Spider-Man and monkey, so this is gentleman. So thinking of the wrong, I was thinking of the wrong term for that kanji. Yeah, Spider-Man and monkey. Apologies for that. I'm just trying to, looking at how I understand stuff myself. Fudan. It's like a normal step. So, fudan wa ie de shokuji o suru. Oh, so that's normally. So what do you do normally?
普段
普段は家で食事をする。
Some of the other things the Anki Deck does, and this isn't perfect, by the way, because I had to do it, I kind of used an automated process to create it. But you might see here is alternate. Alternate means like, okay, this word, is there another way to write it in Japanese? That's the alternate way of writing. In this case, there is it normally means the kanji form. Not always, but normally. It does include the pitch, so it's not hudan, it's hudan. If you watch Dogen series, you can start understanding like, okay, this is one is a tamadaka, 2, 3, all the way up to whatever is nakadaka, and it might be and 0 is heiban. If you watch Dogen series, that starts making sense. So you got the pitch there. What it does is then you can re-listen to audio and like, okay, yeah, I can hear that now. It's just reminding you like if you're hearing hudan and you're thinking, oh, that's a heiban, it's the rising pitch, and it's like no, it's a lower pitch. And then you re-listen, okay, cool. Then hopefully your brain gets used to start noticing the differences between heiban and a tamadaka, or zeros and ones, because those are the main versions you're going to see, zeros and ones, and then the 2, 3s will start, the nakadakas start being in there as well. Yeah, let me edit, in fact.
普段
Okay. And this is Yu, so this is Nyuji. So it's a suckling babe.
乳児
Nyuji. And you notice this one, there's no sentence for it. I could add a sentence, I just don't. And this is where, okay, this is a better example here. So what I did is, again, this is what I've added under more notes. I added the Japanese definition here, and then I added the English definition as well. That's all. And then I didn't have to, I just chose to. And then there you go, is the translation itself. This is from the book. All right, cool. So that's the OnKey Deck. I think if you look at the OnKey Deck, in fact, let me go back a little bit. If I just looked at the N3 itself, so it's the entire N3 book, and I'll look at it over the last year. All right, so that's today. So this is roughly when I started it back in October 9th of 2018. So 3 months, about 4 months or so. And December, I actually didn't do any reviews. In fact, you'll start noticing we see the kind of what's happening here. All right, so here's the review count. So when I first started, back in, almost everything was learning new stuff. All right, and then slowly what happens is, of course, reviews pick up, and around about here, I kind of didn't do any reviews. December time frame, yeah. So October, November, I was doing a lot more learning new stuff. I kind of pulled back in December for reasons. So I was mainly just doing reviews. In fact, all the blues were reviews of stuff that it hadn't passed into the timed, or it was still counted as learning. So blue just means learn. It didn't mean I necessarily learned something new. And review time, about the same, whatnot. The biggest thing here is that, hey, suspend stuff. Most of the cards I suspend are text-based cards, because pretty much if I can see the word, I most likely know what it is. So the audio card's taking care of it for me. For you, you might decide. In fact, I know some other people. They add in cards that are audio and text based. They add them both. So that's fine. But suspend is my. If you know it, don't waste time. I just suspend it. And what I also would recommend at an N5 level words. Anything that goes beyond 3 months is suspended. If it's N5 level, if you're not seeing it within the 3 month time frame, if you're doing normal immersion, let's say at least watching Japanese a couple hours a day, at least a couple hours a day, hopefully more than that, like actively watching, sitting down in front of a TV show watching Japanese. There shouldn't be anything in the N5 book you have to worry about beyond 3 months, because you should be getting normally exposed to that well within the 3 months of immersion that you'll be doing. With the N4 book, I'd say increase that to 6 months. So if there's anything in the N4 book you haven't been exposed to on a frequent basis within 6 months, then it's probably not worth remembering. It's probably you don't need to worry about it, because your normal exposure should be helping you there. And then at the N3 level, then that's going to go to a year. So whatnot. Now, hopefully, again, and in fact, I've seen this happen. I would learn a section of a book, of the N3 book, and I'd go do my reading, and during the course of that 1 hour of reading, where it's like 1 or 2 words from that one of these 25 words that I learned popped up in that one particular hour. It just happened to pop up, and I realized it. Whereas before I learned that word, I might have just completely forgotten the word immediately. I said, okay, here's what the word means, and go on. So it is kind of a good positive feedback of how that works. So that's just a matter of spacing, and it's up to you on that. It works, So anyway, I will say if I did this 2 hours a day, let's just say I did studying for 2 hours a day, I probably could have got through this entire book in a shade under 3 months. Because what happened was, I did it for October and November, then around December time frame I kind of like fell off the horse a little bit, and then I started back up again and started learning new words. And so chapter 9, 10, 11, and 12, so about 4 chapters, I finally was doing that in January, February time frame. But then in January, what I did is, instead of doing 2 hours a day of study, I dropped it down to an hour. And what Anki doesn't take into account is, if I'm studying a word, that time I'm spent studying it, it doesn't count that time, because I've got the wrong screen is open, so it's not, the timer isn't running. But I do know, like, hey, it's I was doing it for up to the 2 hour mark, I would stop. But what happened in January is I went to the 1 hour mark and stopped. So I'd review anything left over up to an hour. I'd study new stuff, and then that would be it. And reason was because I was starting to do drama immersion, so I started doing drama decks. So I was still doing 2 hours of study, but 1 hour of it was a vocabulary deck, the other hour was a drama deck. That was all. And then I'd also be doing my reading. So here, play the audio and read along with the audio. So if you call that studying, then yeah, that was studying. I consider that just regular immersion. A bit more intense form of immersion, but immersion nonetheless. Okay, so I think that solves that problem. I think that solves everything there. All right, so let's solve that. Let's call that the end of the review. All right, so that is はじめての日本語能力試験演奏単語2000 Essential Vocabularies for the JLPT N3. All right, Ask Publishings. Good book series. And the big thing is audio. That's the reason why it wins out of all the other things. It includes audio. Even then though, it's like, well, that doesn't make it any more better than the Core 6K. But the other benefits has been the vocabulary is much more recent. If you go through here, you're going to see a lot more updated vocabulary. You may not obviously you're not going to realize it if you're starting out, but by the time you get up to this level, you kind of know, like, you've been watching Japanese, you've been reading Japanese, and yeah, this is much more updated vocabulary. There is that. In addition to, it is a much more natural n plus 0 or n plus 1 or sometimes less, sometimes n plus 0.5, and sometimes it does include an additional word you don't know yet, it hasn't been introduced, but that it's going to be introduced in that section, so you're going to quickly see that word soon. So nothing is going to be completely new and never introduced as a vocabulary word, whereas in the Core 2000, Core 6000 series of words, they do that. So there is the book. Also, of course, again, it's an OnKey Deck. So there you go. I will be working on. I will say again, I've got the spreadsheet. So I will be working on the OnKey Deck for this book here, the N2 level, and I'll be going through that as well. My current plan is, first is I'm going to do another 555 kanji, and I've got the kanji deck. I've already got the spreadsheet for that. I just need to go and import those into Anki. And it's very simple in that it's just this particular list of these kanji that I'm going to be learning in remembering the kanji order. So I'm going to go through that a little slowly, about 15 characters a day. So it's going to take me a little over 30 to 40 days. In addition to, I'm going to be doing I'm probably going to be making an Anki deck for the Shinkansen Master N3 grammar. Now, floating around on the internet is a spreadsheet of the example sentences from that book. So all the entries, they're not the mock test question, the questions from the mock test or review questions. Instead, they're from the examples where it gave here's what the grammar point means, and here's like 3 to 4 sentences using this grammar point. Those are the sentences of it. So the way I'm going to try to do it is treat it like I do my my drama deck, in that the purpose of the drama deck is not for me to see do I remember stuff. It's just to re-expose. It's just basically spaced repetition, not spaced remembrance. So I'm not testing my memory of a material. I'm just being reminded about it. So hey, here's the sentence again. Do you know what it means? No, I don't. Okay, well here's the explanations on the answer side. Cool. Okay, that's what it means. Pass. So I'm not missing cards. I'm not marking anything difficult. I'm just passing, and just, okay, occasionally I'm going to see a sentence that I've seen before, and I'm going to work it on that idea. And I'll probably share that Anki deck with people on the Patreon. I'll have to make a decision on that. The reason why I will say the reason why I'm not requiring Patreon membership for these particular Anki decks is for the Tango books. For one, it's an active publisher. There's that. It's good material. And in fact, let me just go back. Yeah, I'm not even going to put the whole Shinkansen Master. I'm not even going to put that on Patreon either. That's just because I don't need to. All right, that's based on material. I think you should purchase the book. If you have proof, I'll do the same thing. If you have proof of ownership, I'll share the deck with you. I'll leave it at that level. If I make the decks, that's if I make the OnKey decks. I think that I need to make that as just a standard operating procedure from here on out, especially for this material. If I make OnKey decks based on copyrighted material, you got to show that you have a right to that copy. Then I'll give you the copy of the OnKey deck. That sounds fair enough. Yeah, especially for books that are meant for studying of Japanese. The other materials, such as if it's drama decks, that's a whole other animal, because you're doing a lot of. I think it's called I keep forgetting the term, but you're transformative work. You're changing the work into something completely different. So yeah, that's definitely transformative. It's open to fair use. Okay. That's about it. And how long was I doing this? So this is a 45-minute review. I apologize. It was kind of a weird review. A lot of mistakes, like not showing the screen. Yeah. So yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else here. So just a reminder: purchase if you buy the book somehow, some way, either the electronic version of it or the full version of it. Send me the link on Discord. Send me a picture, a screenshot on Discord. I'll share the links to you. It's as simple as that. It's a darn good book series so far, and I get the feeling N2 is going to continue on with it. It might feel a little bit boring at that level, but now personally, I'm doing both drama and vocabulary, and I think they work well. In addition to the drama and vocabulary for this structured study, I'm also reading books and transcripts. I'm reading Japanese for an hour or two a day, and that's going to help. In addition to, I also have the immersion of watching Japanese TV shows or having Japanese audio playing all the time. So there is that. But I do believe, if I did a lot more reading all the time, I'm sure my level would advance really fast. All right, learning more words is not going to make your Japanese level. It increases your potential. All right, but again, the vocabulary words and grammar and kanji that that's just your potential of understanding Japanese when you hear it or when you read it. The actual thing that raises your actual level, is the immersion, the reading Japanese and the watching Japanese. So just remember that. But again, this is a really good resource to help increase your potential. And with the higher your potential, the more benefit you get out of the immersion, the reading and the watching of Japanese, which raises your actual level in Japanese, if that makes sense. All right, cool. And as always, I suck in Japanese, so take everything I've just said with a huge, big grain of salt. Okay, just remember that. Cool. All right. Just again, I suck in Japanese, so just leave it at that. But I think I am pretty good at interpreting the benefits of things. I have that ability, and I do have an ability to present material in a different way that makes it more consumable. I think I do have that ability, and it's probably a reason why people have enjoyed using stuff that I've made available to the internet. So take that with what you will as well. All right, thank you all very much. This is Nuke Marine. If you'd like, support the Patreon. You don't have to, again, but support is appreciated. Again, purchase the books through the ask-books.com, ask-books.com. There's also White Rabbit Press and Amazon, some places you can look for it. Don't forget, you can download the mock test online. What I may also do, because I've done it with the N5 and N4 books, I'll also for the N3, what I've done is take the section audio and I've compressed it. I've actually merged it into chapter audio. So I'll actually give the links to chapter audio. So it's about 10 to 15 minutes long. And again, so the whole book is about 12 hours, about 2 hours worth of audio, of native level audio for you to listen to. Okay, with that, thank you very much, and I'll see you later.